That night still lives in my veins, like salt water that never dries. Brandon and I had walked the cliffside paths many times before, pretending it was casual, pretending our touches were accidents. But the truth was darker, heavier. Every glance lasted too long. Every brush of his shoulder sent my heart racing. We hid in laughter, in silence, in anything that wasn't the truth. Yet when our hands finally locked in private, away from the crowd, the sea crashing below us, I knew nothing could be undone. That single moment would redefine everything between us. The sea wind whipped against my face, carrying the tang of salt and the crashing of waves far below. The cliffside lookout was crowded that evening. Tourists with cameras, couples leaning close, teenagers blasting music. Brandon stood beside me, taller, his black jacket clinging to him in the damp air. His hand brushed mine once, twice, and I pretended to adjust my sleeve. Pretended until I couldn't anymore. Every second beside him was a battle between restraint and surrender, and I already knew which side was winning. Brandon laughed at something I didn't hear. His voice was thunder wrapped in velvet, deep enough to shake me, soft enough to make me ache. I stole a glance at him. His profile caught the dim gold of the fading sunset, the edges of his dark hair moving with the wind. He caught me looking, and instead of turning away, he smiled. That smile wasn't casual. That smile was a question. I swallowed, heat creeping up my neck, wishing the crowd would disappear, wishing it was just him and me. No more hiding. One smile and my careful denial cracked like fragile glass against stone. We walked further down the path, away from the chatter and camera flashes. The deeper we went, the quieter it grew, until the only sounds were the sea and the steady rhythm of his steps beside mine. Brandon's hand brushed mine again, slower this time, deliberate. My chest tightened. I flexed my fingers, trying to decide if I had the courage to close the distance. But his eyes were already on me, watching, waiting. The path dipped into a narrow stretch of trees where the ocean glowed between branches. It was darker here, more private, like the world had pulled us aside to watch what would happen next. Every hidden place makes you realize what you're afraid to do in public. Your body begs you to do in private. I let my hand fall close to his. He didn't move right away. The suspense burned, sparking across my skin. And then his fingers hooked mine, subtle, quiet. Just that, just enough to make the world tilt. I froze. 1,000 thoughts fired through my head. What if someone saw? What if this was a mistake? What if this changed everything? But then his thumb brushed the side of my hand, slow, steady, grounding me. I breathed in, sharp. My body felt like lightning had just struck through it. Sometimes it's not the kiss, not the confession. It's the smallest touch that detonates everything you've been hiding. The path narrowed again, forcing us shoulder to shoulder. Brandon didn't let go. Instead, he tightened his grip, our palms fully locking. My breath stuttered. My lips parted, but no words came. I dared to look at him. His eyes, hazel, flecked with green, glimmered with something I had never let myself believe I'd see. Want, not just friendship, not just curiosity. Something heavier. We kept walking, but it didn't feel like walking anymore. It felt like falling. Every step carried me closer to something I couldn't run from anymore. The moment his hand locked with mine, I stopped being afraid of being caught. I was only afraid of letting go. We reached a wooden railing that overlooked the cliffs. The sea roared below, furious and endless. Brandon leaned forward, his hand still gripping mine, his thumb brushing lazy circles that sent fire crawling up my arm. My voice broke the silence. Soft. Brandon, are we really doing this? He turned to me slowly, the sunset painting his jaw in crimson and gold. His lips curved, not into a laugh, not into a tease, but into something fierce and certain. Do you want me to let go? He asked. The truth was sharp in my throat. No. God, no. When he gave me the choice, I realized I'd already made it the moment I let my hand fall near his. I shook my head. I couldn't speak, not without betraying the storm in me. Brandon stepped closer. His shoulder pressed mine, his body radiating heat through the cool night air. We stood like that, hands locked, while the last of the sun bled into the horizon. I didn't know what this meant for tomorrow, for us, for the risks waiting in daylight. All I knew was that I wasn't letting go tonight. The sky dimmed, the crowd far behind us forgotten. Just us, and the sound of waves breaking against rocks, our hands locked like anchors in the dark. What started as a hidden brush of fingers had become something irreversible. Our hands weren't just touching anymore, they were claiming. The air was colder now, night pulling itself over the sea like a heavy blanket. The cliffs looked sharper under the moonlight, and every wave seemed to crash harder. But I couldn't feel the cold, not with Brandon's hand still locked in mine. He didn't let go. Not once. The grip was steady, sure, like he'd been waiting too long to finally take it. Sometimes, the scariest part isn't what happens. It's realizing how much you wanted it to happen all along. We stood at the wooden railing, closer than anyone would think two friends should stand. My shoulder brushed his chest when I leaned, his warmth searing through the chill air. Brandon tilted his head, looking down at me. Not with casual ease, not with playfulness, but with raw intensity. "I've wanted this," he whispered, voice breaking through the storm inside me. The world spun at those words. My heart slammed against my ribs, demanding I answer, but I was terrified of how honest I'd be if I spoke. The truth doesn't wait for permission. It bursts free the second someone dares to say what you've both been holding back. Finally, I managed, "Me too." The words came out ragged, like they'd been caged too long. Brandon's hand squeezed mine tighter. Then, in one quiet motion, he pulled me closer until my back brushed the railing. He stood over me, his chest just inches from mine. Every nerve in my body screamed to close the gap. My lips parted. My pulse thundered. The cliffs, the waves, the whole world disappeared. There was only him. When his body pressed into mine, I realized the danger wasn't falling off a cliff. It was falling into him. Brandon lowered his forehead to mine, his breath warm against my lips. He didn't kiss me yet. Not right away. He just hovered, his nose brushing mine, dragging the moment out until my knees nearly buckled. "I can't keep pretending," he murmured. His words vibrated against my mouth. I didn't answer with words. I tilted up, closing the space, our lips colliding in a kiss that felt like years of denial unraveling in a single breath. The taste of him was fire and salt, fierce and hungry. I gripped his shirt, pulling him closer, terrified he'd stop. That kiss wasn't soft or careful. It was the kind that breaks everything you thought you were safe hiding. Brandon kissed me harder, his free hand sliding up my jaw, holding me in place like he never wanted to let me go. I melted against him, every inch of me pressing forward. The railing bit into my back, but I didn't care. When we finally pulled apart, gasping, our foreheads stayed pressed together. His chest rose and fell fast, like he was fighting the same storm raging in me. "You have no idea how long I've wanted this," he said, voice hoarse. I smiled, breathless. "Try me. Every secret burns, but when it finally comes out, it doesn't hurt. It heals." The ocean roared louder, as if echoing what had just happened. Brandon still didn't release my hand. Instead, he laced our fingers tighter, like a promise. We stood in the shadows, hidden from the world, but completely exposed to each other. His eyes searched mine, wild and unguarded. I saw the same fear I carried, but also the same hunger. "I don't care if it changes everything," he admitted. Neither did I. That was the moment I realized. Our hands weren't just locked for tonight. They were locked for whatever came next. We didn't move for a long time. Just stayed there, bodies close, breasts tangled. Every second felt like a rebellion against the years we'd wasted in silence. Finally, Brandon pulled me into his chest, his chin resting on my hair. His arms wrapped around me in a way that made the entire stormy coastline feel safer than anywhere else in the world. The night belonged to us. The cliff, the waves, the darkness, witnesses to a secret that wasn't secret anymore. That night, I stopped caring who might see. For the first time, I cared only about being seen by him. And so, with the sea raging below and the moonlight crowning us in silver, Brandon's hand stayed locked with mine. The world could crash, the cliffs could crumble, but I knew one truth. I wasn't letting go. Not tonight. Not ever.